Welcome, welcome, whoever is going to watch this journey of the dark light rhythm. And I'm Rekha Kurup, and I see myself as one of the roles is that's deeply calling to me is the wisdom keeper of the dark light rhythm. And we already have, I've already recorded almost 8.5 hours of content, and it's continuing. And today would be the last part of the life cycle rhythm. And we are going to begin by just doing a little recap of what we did yesterday or what we did in the earlier video, and then 6A and 6B, and then we're going to continue the journey. And we are at a point where we are much more closer to the last video, which would be the next one, closer to the bringing it all together, weaving it all together, and really learning how to navigate this on an everyday basis. So thank you for your patience and thank you for walking with me. So let me begin here. And I just want to start here. Just bringing a recap, we really looked at the 4 phases, the 8 metamorphic pit stops, the dark and light, the being and the doing rhythm. You can see the 8 pit stops, you can see the dark and the color section, and then you can see the lines which are demarcating the two. The 4 phases, the being phase, being to doing phase, the doing phase, doing to being phase. So this cyclic movement. And so on this, we have the entire day system that we looked at, the 24-hour clock, and you can see the interconnections of this clock with the 8 metamorphic pit stops and the 4 phases. And into that, we brought the seasons, and you can see the winter solstice, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the autumn equinox, and also symbolic, Lamas, Beltane, Samhain. So these 4 transitional points, 4 peak points, and how the same seasonal one revolution around the sun, one whole revolution around the sun also falls into this 4-phase map, just like 24-hour day, Earth's one rotation maps here. And then we have the moon's one full rotation around the Earth, yeah, where we see the moon complete this whole dark to full to dark cycle. And here again, we can see the interconnections of the 4 phases and the 4 peaks. So the 8 metamorphic pit stops. And now we came into, yesterday we looked at our entire life cycle, whatever that is. Here I go from 80 to 8, that whole rhythm, 0 to 80 or 0 to 0. Yeah, so from nothing to nothing is the kind of cyclic movement here, or you can say infinity to infinity, or you can say nothing to nothing. So we begin a birth cycle, or beginning is connected to the, you can see the seasonal, the morning time, and the moon time, with all that. You can see this interconnection with the new beginning. Yeah, and that is, so this entire spectrum, 80 to death, and death to birth to 8 years, this entire time is located here in the life cycle. And with that, we enter into the maiden gateway, which is from 8 to 24 years of a girl. And I won't be surprised if there's a corresponding similar rhythm for a boy as well. But on this, we are really focusing on the womb rhythm. Here we are first time coming into the womb and the woman. So this is being a maiden, and this is the time of blossoming. So bud breaking into a flower, the full blossoming of that journey towards blossoming. Yeah, so our bleeding, our first blood is seen as a rite of passage. That is when it's like crossing over a phase. It's really crossing over. Actually, it is where you begin. It's in the very beginning stage of this entering into this phase. And then you enter, then the entire maiden phase is about really becoming, receiving the gifts of being in the womb. Yeah. So that's what this whole journey is about. And then we continue into the mother phase. So at around 24, or just few years before 24 itself, the transition starts happening of the mother gateway. So mother phase, which is between 24 to 48 years, this is the longest period, or the longest phase of life, which is about really practical. It is about putting to practice all that we receive. So what is the foundation that is set in the 8 to 24 years, or 0 to 24 years of our life, is what will determine this phase. How much of the abundance and how much of the creatrix energy that a woman is able to tap directly is connected to her own connection with her womb, her menstruation rhythm, and how she connects to being a woman. Yeah, that aspect. So we are really looking at how to tap into that. I mean, it's not like women won't be successful, of course. We can completely suppress it and do everything, and then our body really starts saying no at some point in our life. So this is, here we have the mother. So it's not just the mother as in having a child. That's a gift. That's in service of life. That's a blessing, because that's the gateway through which a human child can come into this world. At the same time, everything else, all kinds of birthings, all kinds of abundance is also connected to this phase. And we looked at it. We looked at the maiden and the mother phase of life. And then comes the queen phase, which is the visionary phase. It is like the phase when now you live for yourself. You are really showing up to you receive the wisdom, you practice the wisdom, and then now you are sharing this wisdom of your life that you've seen, known about community, connection. So all that was practiced during the mother creatrix phase. And now you have this, there is a sense of deep autonomy and authority that comes from the inner core of standing in one's light. Yeah. And darkness that starts happening in the queen visionary, which is 48 to 64 years. This is also when, like, if the blood gets initiated in the maiden phase, this is when the blood recedes. Yeah, so this is the time when she becomes the rhythm. Yeah, the rhythm starts kind of receding at the same time. This is when she can really start finding these other maps to locate her womb. Yeah, and still journeying, because now the blood will start completely waning out, and she enters menopause. And then she enters into the fourth phase, which is the crone phase, the wise phase, the grandmother phase. And this is again, we don't know this. By the time you reach here, I feel it's already a bonus. So how many years are here? What happens here? Those are all bonus gift years. So I feel this is when you can really, because otherwise through your womb, there's so much push and pull of everything that you experience as a woman. Here you can really come into that deep inner beingness that you can experience as a grandmother, and you can give counsel and be present. So we saw that yesterday, the mother mind, it really blossoms in the crone wise one. Yeah. So the mother mind is practiced in the mother creatrix, and by the time the crone wise one age happens, if we have really moved through each of these gateways, then the crone really opens up as living the mother mind. And how we saw, if you watched the video from yesterday, you would have heard Credo Mutwa Zulu chief really talking about grandmothers, yeah, the mind and the spirit of grandmothers. He himself looks like a grandfather, and yet the honor and humility with which he said grandmothers is pretty phenomenal. Yeah. And so that is, and in a modern linear culture, usually by the time a woman comes here, she is seen as useless. And that's the loss of the culture, that the emotional deficiency that we see, the emotional dissociation, the disconnection that we see is because that aspect we haven't really learned to receive from that phase of mothers who are grandmothers, yeah, of that age, and women herself not fully able to transition into that age is also kind of sad, yeah, because these gateways don't get fully opened, and even if they get opened, they do not receive the safety and the community to navigate it and really embody it and express it. So today we are going to be looking at, in this video, we are going to be looking at the Queen and the Crone phase. And so let's go into the Queen phase. So the Queen, as you can see, is the autumn of our life. So this is not the time of really starting completely new, unknown things. I mean, you can. Many times we meet the maiden here, and this is when you feel like, oh God, I've never, ever been able to experience that sense of the maiden's fool. Yeah. So this is so many times for a woman, this is where she really has the opportunity to kind of experience in the modern world. She has her own security, financial foundation and all of that. And so then she might begin to experience the maiden for the first time here fully. And that is okay. And at the same time, this is also the time of letting go, shedding, really shedding. It is because it's the inner autumn. So this is when a lot of things of the past, everything starts coming up. It's a time to let go, wane and find your own movement in life. And here we have the age gateway. You can see the potent, this really the peak gateway is 56 years, which is a very powerful phase in a woman's life, in the Queen phase. And you can see the times corresponding at this way. If you're in the Queen phase of your life, in these times, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., 4th waning to 12th waning, a time of that you can really tap into this aspect. So that means you really need to slow down, you need to make room. So 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., I would encourage, don't schedule or travel during this time. I mean, once a while is okay, but not that every day you're traveling and working during this time. This is a great time to deepen. Yeah. Like for me, I usually from 2:30 p.m. to evening, like 6 p.m., usually, unless it's unavoidable, I do not schedule anything. It is my time because I am now in that phase of my life and I can afford to do that. And I feel I function much more. I'm way more available emotionally and physically and creatively when I do this, when I make this time for myself. Rest if I need to. I do other things which I love, I cherish. And so this is the inner intuitive guidance. And here you really need to be able to share this wisdom. So as in the Queen first of your life, if you're not really able to share all that has been your gifts, then a deep sense of depression, loneliness, psychosis can set in, dementia can happen. So this phase is really important for a woman. Many times we, if we haven't really lived our maiden and our mother, then this is when that all hits. And then women really have to create the tribe and the community to process it, release it. Yeah. Agree to what has come, what has already happened. Yeah. And to really meet one's own fate in a way that one doesn't, there are no regrets. Yeah. And the sadness can be there. Yeah. And this is actually an initiation into death. This phase, if we really kind of fully live this phase of life, the Queen phase, then as we enter into Crone phase, there is a deep sense of peace, comfort, readiness, yeah, sage quality, that the sage that we talk about, yeah, that quality, really the crone quality, being okay with crossroads, being okay with life the way it is. So you really become the council for community, for society, for life itself. Yeah. So these are the archetypes. And of course, this is the energy of this gateway, is to share and express the knowing. So we're always talking about the knowing. So maiden is being initiated into the knowing. Mother phase is about practicing this knowing, really putting it to practice. So the most work in life happens in the mother phase, where you're most active, just like the summer is a summer phase, right? The most light. And then we are slowing down. So now we have really practiced. Now it is sharing, expressing for ourselves. Yeah. So this is a very different movement. Yeah. And the wisdom teaches for a crone, for a queen phase is the crone and the mother line. Yeah, so if you're in the queen phase, and you need to have some crones you're looking up to, not the maiden or the mother, but the crone, and of course your mother line, your line of ancestors, female ancestors, are really very, very powerful as you wane out. Yeah. And so here are some questions, just like I post in the mother and the maiden. This is your own relationship to this energy. If you're in this age gateway, then how do you really show up in this? What are the shadows that you're meeting in this gateway? What are the wounds you're carrying? Yeah, and what is the awakening you're longing for? Yeah. And here I want to really share a queen here with you. And let's really watch this video.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll arise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Just because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just because I laugh, as if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words, you can cut me with your lies, you can kill me with your hatefulness, but just like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance as if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling and bearing in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, wow. There I go.
There you can see the queen energy and the words. Yeah, it's not the money you have, it's nothing, it's just you are fully able to feel the essence of who you are. And the others wonder, where does she get this? Don't see that, but that kind of woman owning yourself and living that energy. So I feel like this is this is dedicated to every queen in every woman, the queen in every woman. And this is my Angelo, the most amazing, visionary, legendary, breaking pathways, Maya Angelou. And yeah. And now let's just look at what are the rites of passage gateways. This is Frida Kahlo. So now you will start seeing the images I have are of queens. So in each, it was like that. I forgot to mention that, but the images of queens and rites of passage gateways. What are the rite of passage gateways? So these, when I say rite of passage, is that when these ages are coming closer, it is wonderful to do some ceremony that can really initiate you into that. And the ceremony, you can do it by yourself, or you can have a community of women with whom you do it. So yeah, this is like a great way to do that. Yeah. So 48, as you're entering it, to really create protection for this energy in you. So whatever it is that you do, you need to do that. Ancestral ritual or motherline rituals or whatever. This could be a very solo thing as well, and really calling in on the energies, calling in on protection of that which is beyond us. Yeah, and go and seek blessings of crones in your life. Seek blessings from them as you're moving into this phase. And then 50 is a great time to actually do a crowning ceremony. And this is again to wonder, what is a queen self-care kit? What does she need to have? Like if I have to say that, what's in my self-care kit? There are lots of oils. There are a lot of oils in my self-care kit. There is a big collection of lipsticks, small ones, and essential oils. There are a lot of essential oils. There's a lot of art. Yeah, so there's a lot of art. Then there are journals and diaries. Yeah, in my self-care kit, there's a mirror. There's a beautiful mirror, full-length mirrors in many rooms of my house. Part of my self-care kit, fresh cotton panties, undies, really nice, soft cotton underwears, new, which I keep shifting them. Then I have at least 2 or 3 pairs of really good glittery or shiny dresses that I can wear. And I have, so these are some of my, I have really warm socks, which I really paid for, really good quality socks, and really good quality shoe, which is full protection. These are some of the things at this age, and my queen self-care kit I do have. Yeah, I mean, I don't need comb or anything like that, because those I don't. I'm not so much into makeup, so that's not something I look at. When jewelry, I'm not so much, but I have some really, when earrings, I'm not so much there. But these are some things, oils, I think, and books. Yeah, my books are my part of my self-care. Yeah, and really investing in a good laptop. I love my digital part. So yeah, that's another part of my self-care. I love my laptop. And another part of my self-care that is very unusual is a really big screen TV. Yeah, like really that flat screen, smart HD, something that I love to see things very alive. So those are definitely part of my self-care. Yeah, and my own home, my home, that I can call. It's my safe space. So that is, so there are many things in my self-care, but the most top was oils. I need my oils at this time. Yeah. And here now we have Maya Angelou again. So what is the need of this phase? What is the need of the queen energy? It's really to step into ownership. Yeah, bring her visions, her learnings, her experiences into service of the world. So it's no longer, of course, you can do it for money, and that's totally fine if that's your need, but that's not the primary purpose. Hopefully, when you try, that's when you really start experiencing the queen. The weight of financial stability is no longer the driving force, but there is a stability, a foundation that has been built, and now you can really share. And sharing your knowing with the world. Yeah, this is, and making time for solitude. Even if you're in a relationship, doesn't matter. You need to be able to find time for solitude. And hopefully you are with a man who is also entering and moving through this phase of his life, the king phase of his life. And that's again very similar. There needs to be a lot of ownership and authority, autonomy, self knowing, and time for self. So that kind of real separation of the adult has happened. And here, so I have some beautiful queens that I see who are living their life on their own terms. And what does initiation into? So these are some of the work that you can start in this age, or in this gateway, that women can really start making room for, is autonomy, individuation, receding of blood flow, integrating the life wisdom. So it's a very spiritual, in a way, not in the sense of the religion spiritual, but in the sense of the beingness really opens up, because we're moving towards that. So you can imagine the autumn, when the silence really starts setting in, things are shedding, trees are becoming barren. Yeah, and this is a time to integrate your maiden self, reclaim the sexuality, womb wisdom, power within, in a whole new way. And it is also about attaining a deep agreement with one's own life, one's own fate, and where one is in one's life. So this is where one needs to this is what is the queen energy. Yeah, this is the work that we are called to if we are not moving there. Yeah. And the wounded queen. Yeah, have you seen her, known her? So this energy is when the maiden really has not received, and there's a lot of bitterness, there's a lot of anger by the time one comes to queen. There's a lot of domination energy that is there, that one, while seeing the other bow down to one, is how one is known to know one's power. So you always need the external to inform your own power. So that is the wounded queen. So it's the rage of being taken without consent. So now you take without consent. Internalized bitterness, inability to share, express, give, take, behaving like a martyr, a rescuer, volunteers towards and seeks danger, death, challenges, self-destructive, self-sabotaging, and also often when we are self-destructing, self-sabotaging, it is also mirrored in our behavior with others. Dementia, depression, anxiety, psychotic, deep emotional outbursts, extreme emotional outbursts, all of this can be part of the wounded queen. And yes, I have with politician women who it's sometimes difficult to see really that embodied feminine here, and that we know to be in that such a male patriarchal, male linear narrative. You have to kind of shut down that part of you, the woman part of you. Yeah. And of course, some of the queen goddesses, there are many queen goddesses, Raja Rajeshwari, Sekhmet, Inanna, Ishtar. Raja Rajeshwari is a form of Durga, like fully power as in the feline-ness. So these are some powerful images that, and you can start looking at what are the queen goddesses in your own. And they are usually queen goddesses, you will see they are not they have many images without a male partner. They can just be in their own authority of their body. Yeah, that's a queen energy. Even if she has a partner, she also has her own knowing. She is known through who she is. Yeah. And then, of course, comes this most, this is something that, I can only speak from seeing. And the way, as I enter Queen, I see so many who were mothers for me when I was maiden, or who were already queens when I was a maiden. I've now entered the croneship. I've entered this phase, including my own mother, and so many of other grandmothers. Count of grandmothers have really increased who are becoming the crone. This is really entering into the inner winter. So to really know this energy, we need to have come into deep agreement with the maiden, mother, and queen. So these gateways, they don't just open just like that. They are gradation. They open sequentially. They open so it's like from one door you enter the next door, you enter the next door, and then you enter the crone. So if you've not entered, then you are still in that. Maybe many times we meet women who are crone, but they are still maiden. They've not moved through the doors. Nobody has supported them to enter these different doors. Just being in the first door, they have just aged and their body has moved. But their psyche, the energetic body, has not transitioned. So this is to mature the energetic body. When all these, we enter into this, the crone phase, and the wise woman phase, the woman at the crossroads phase, who is not afraid of crossroads, the woman, the raven phase, the spider woman. I mean, there's so many. Every indigenous culture has grandmothers, crone phase, which is very sacred. And so this is over 64 years. The potent 72 is really quite a powerful time. And as you can see, the times, 9 p.m. to 3 a.m., 12th waning to 4th waxing, deep maturity. So you know you are with the crone energy when you are seen by a grandmother. Being with them, they just see who you are. They can see your pain. They can see you beyond your behavior, your actions, your coping, your adaptations, your addictions, and they can love you just the same. They can love the being. They can see the being. They see through the being. But if they have not moved through that themselves, then they will not. Yeah, they cannot see that. So you know that when you are with a grandmother, and this quietness, when you're without conversation, you feel a deep settling. And I have met those grandmothers in my life, those crone energies, where something in me really settles. Yeah, I don't have to hold on to anything. I can just be. Yeah, I don't care. Something in me really settles. In their presence, they're in a board of stillness. So, so the archetype is shaman, healer. Yeah, and these are the archetypes. Priestess archetypes are here. Sage, wise woman, grandmother. And here she becomes the rhythm. She becomes the knowing. She is the knowing. It's not like she becomes the knowing. She is the knowing. So beingness, at home presence, really, you can see that spaciousness just in her own body. Yeah. And her wisdom teacher is the rhythm. The universe is the teacher. So your reliance on material or matter wisdom is gone. Yeah, it's transitioned. So you walk barefoot, bare, in alignment with the universal rhythm. Yeah, that's the crone. And again, you have the same questions. This energy, how do you see this energy in your surroundings? How's your relationship with your own grandmother? Have you met the crone in your life? Where do you see the crone? Sadly, today we are in the modern culture, we are becoming more and more, the crones are being sent to old age homes. And sometimes if you really want to meet crones, that's where you go. You will see so many grandmothers there who are at such ease and such peace, and have found their alignment with their own life. And you will also see a lot of pain. Yeah. So here I have a beautiful video and it is dedicated to the crone in every room. So this is kind of like acknowledgement. So let's begin by watching it. The 13 indigenous grandmothers. This is the trailer of their documentary for the next 7 generations.
We have been brought together by a common vision to form a new global alliance. We are the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. Ours is an alliance of prayer, education, and healing for our Mother Earth, all her inhabitants, all the children, and for the next 7 generations to come.
So the focus of the crone energy is not just now, but it is backwards and forwards, going into 7 generations. Yeah. So, what are the rites of passage? These are one of the indigenous grandmothers here in a ceremony. So every picture now that comes, I would invite us to also take a breath with honor and reverence, deep sacredness. Rite of passage gateway for the crone phase is 64, 70, 72, and 80. And this is a gateway that even as I'm speaking, I know that it is beyond. It's beyond me. I'm not there. So I'm just seeing what I know. And yeah, so there's nothing for me to do here. So I can just be in reverence and in honor of just sharing this and voicing this. That's it. And what is a crone care kit? And I don't know that yet, what would be my crone care kit. But seeing my own grandmother, I know that oil and herbs are a huge part of that. Huge part of her journey are oils. Yeah. Very simple food, very simple. Water, huge part of crone care kit when I see grandmothers, some of the grandmothers that I know. So, and now the need, what is the need of this phase? She is the no, yeah, so she is the one who can initiate the maiden. So the maiden can receive a lot from her, because especially the 0 to 8 years of the very young girl can really receive from the stillness and the spaciousness of the grandmothers. Yeah, in that her own spaciousness within her is mirrored, because she and the crone are not very different. So she really can have the proximity. Young girls need grandmothers. And so there is, if you look at it, there's nothing much here. What she needs, she has it all. There's nothing, it's not about anywhere about needs. Is of being, fully being here. And then initiation, this is an initiation. The crone phase is an initiation into mastery of death. Restful alertness, deep synchrony with nature, moving in beingness, needs no thing and honors connection to everything. Her presence nurtures everyone, including the earth. Her blessings bear fruit. There is stillness, knowing of greater love and alignment with its flow. So from my own life and from my own knowing that has been gifted to me, I realized that, these patriarchal notions of that I have heard in spiritual communities. When you become old, you will lose all your faculties, you lose everything, then you can't know the being. So start this from a young age. No, maybe for men it's true, I really don't know, but for a woman, this movement of the womb and waxing and waning with this journey opens up the being in a very natural way. The being is unavoidable. Yeah, a woman can only fully be herself if she's really able to surrender to something beyond herself, because she learns, a girl learns very early on when her womb rhythm awakens and she starts menstruating and ovulating, that she's not in charge. She is not in charge. And that is what we don't usually give to our this gift is not what a maiden usually receives. She receives that she has to be in charge, but she is not in charge. So this knowing and this surrendering and humbleness really comes very early on in this initiatory path of being a woman through the womb rhythms. So the beingness opens up. So don't be. So you focus on just the phase you are in and really honoring that and sinking into that, coming back to your blood rhythms. You will really receive this deep sacredness of your faculties being alive in the way that they need to be, and really allowing this transition of leaving and agreeing to death, in death, and being in agreement with death. And the wounded crone, we have seen the wounded crone in many of the stories. Yeah, there's a lot of patriarchal stories. You will see the crone who is ugly and scary, and she scares the maiden, tries to poison the maiden. Curse, there are a lot of curses connected with her. So it's a very bittered inside of, it's the maiden. So usually you'll see all these wounded crone stories are really trying to destroy the maiden. So there can be deep disquiet, restlessness, apathy, cruelty, meanness, disease in body, deep sadness, lunacy, really craziness, disinterest, loneliness, Alzheimer's, delusion, mental illness. All of this can set in if we have really not been able to fully experience this emotional maturity or this waxing and waning in our life. Yeah. So this is the wounded crone. And I think we have seen this quite a lot in so many stories. And here I have many of the crone goddesses. You can see the goddess of the crossroads, the seven sister grandmothers, grandmother Spider, Dhumavati. You have the Samhain grandmother, Shilana Gig, which is also a very old grandmother kind of energy. There's so many grandmothers like that, grandmother goddesses. Yeah, so see what is there in your own culture, in your own lineage, in your own line. And now I want to bring all these threads together as we are moving towards the conclusion of this video. So this is where you can see the four phases, the most inactive or the being phase, then the being to doing phase, and then the most active or doing phase, and again, the in-between doing to being phase. So these four phases, the 8 metamorphic pit stops. On that, we place our 24-hour clock, and you can see the 8 metamorphic pit stops: midnight, mid-noon, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 a.m., 6 p.m., 9 a.m., 9 p.m. They constitute the 4 metamorphic pit stops. And then we have the seasons, Now the year, the entire 365-day calendar. On that, we have the the season starting with spring, summer, autumn, winter. So I'm not placing rain here. Rain is towards the end of summer. So it is this transition from summer to autumn. And then we have again the 8 metamorphic pit stops of the seasonal cycle, which is the Imbolic, the spring equinox, Beltane, summer solstice, Lammas, autumn equinox, Samhain. Those are the Gaelic pagan tradition, their ceremonies. In India, we have our own winter solstice. Yeah, and we already looked at the zodiac and all that in the seasonal wheel, so I'm not going into that. And then we have the moon, which comes up the whole 29.5 days of the waxing and waning of the moon. And then we have the 4 phases of the moon, 5th waxing to 11th waxing, then 11th waxing to 4th waning, then 5th waning to 11th waning, and then 11th waning to 4th waxing, moon phase. And then we have the metamorphic pit stops of the moon. You can look at that, the full moon, the dark moon, the 4th waxing, 4th waning, 8th waxing, 8th waning, 11th waxing, 11th waning. Yeah, so here we have that. And then on this comes our life cycle. We also looked at the elemental, how the ether element opens up in the winter phase. Earth starts deadening, becomes heavier, immobile, then warmth comes in the spring, ice melts, so water element really begins to flow and earth returns to life. And then water nourishes with that, there is fire transforms life. Yeah, there's also a lot of fire here. Earth blossoms is abundant. The sun fire really its peak during this phase. And then we have wind pacing up. Yeah, and then earth sheds, warmth recedes, water solidifies, and this cycle. So you can look at the elements as well here. And then we come to the life cycle. So you can see where the life cycle of the crone sits as winter. It is really the winter phase of our life. And then we have the maiden phase of our life. Then we have the mother phase of our life and the queen and visionary phase of our life. So these are the 4 phases of the life, and the metamorphic pit stops are here, starting with the birth, the death and birth. So this 80 to 8 years, that is this metamorphic pit stops. You are on the pit stop through this entire time. So you're not in a phase anymore. So that entire age gateway is like being on a metamorphic pit stops. It requires deep care, deep holding, mirroring, safety, connection, very, very sensitive, sacred time. And then we have the 16 years, which is akin to the spring equinox time, peak. Then we have 24 years. It is coming out of the maiden phase and moving into the summer, mother phase. 32 is the peak of the mother phase. Many times women, by the time if your maiden has a lot of pain, it has moved through at 32 is going to be one of the most painful transition in terms of fire. So there's literally fire, literally and figuratively, fire causes the deepest transformation, breakdowns, catastrophic shifts in life can happen here. And then comes 48. Then you're moving to 56. 48 is entering into the queen phase of your life. And then 56 is kind of another very powerful gateway connected to the autumn equinox. Mostly by the time, it is also the time that the menopause has receded. Or menopause is set in and bleeding has receded completely. And then we have the 64, and then you enter the crone phase, and 72 is like the golden year of being the crone wise one. And then, then it's all bonus from there. So this is what we looked at this life phase. And now we come to the end of this video where we are really looking at, so wherever you are on this map, see what other phases become important. Now comes, how do I transition this? How do I walk through this? This is where we come to the most innermost depth of our life, where our compass is, and that's our bleeding. That's the rhythm of our womb. And that's just going to be our last video about our menstruation. How do we navigate menstruation every day of our life? In the first day of our bleeding, till the blood recedes, how do we journey on it, and how do we make room for us to blossom on it? So that would be our last video, the menstruation rhythm. For now, we have completed all the depths that go beyond all the layers. So that's where we are. And so this is an invitation that at the beginning of every new cycle phase, when you enter a new life cycle season, you can make a framework for your daily routine. You can create how your goals and visions and things for this phase of your life. Really transition consciously, create rituals for rites of passage, things like that. So, and I'm going to make a completely different series on rituals and what are rituals and why rituals and things like that. And so, yeah, that's where we are. And so, yeah, thank you so much for watching this. And I hope that if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to write to me, message me, put it in the comment. And I will definitely be looking at it and responding. So may the journey continue. And now we are moving towards the last video in our series. Blessed.